The psychology of nonchalant people is one of quiet resilience, emotional balance, and detachment from unnecessary drama. These individuals often appear calm, unbothered, and composed even when life throws chaos their way. To many, they seem mysterious, perhaps even aloof, but beneath that surface lies a deep psychological foundation that allows them to navigate the world with steadiness and grace. Their composure isn't apathy, it's mastery. It's the result of emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and an understanding of what truly deserves their energy. The calmness of nonchalant people comes from their ability to regulate emotions rather than suppress them. They have learned, often through experience, that reacting impulsively rarely changes a situation, it only hands over control to external forces. Emotional regulation is a quiet strength, one that allows a person to remain composed in the face of insult, rejection, or chaos. Nonchalant people understand that emotions are powerful but fleeting. They feel deeply, but they do not allow those feelings to dictate their behavior or identity. When anger rises, they let it pass. When sadness lingers, they observe it without becoming it. This level of control does not come from coldness or detachment, but from wisdom, the understanding that emotional storms eventually calm on their own, and that peace comes from within, not from winning battles outside. From a psychological perspective, emotional regulation is linked to a well-developed prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and emotional moderation. Nonchalant individuals often unconsciously use cognitive reframing, a mental process where they reinterpret negative experiences in a way that reduces their emotional impact. For example, instead of thinking, "This person disrespected me," they might think, "This person's behavior reflects their own chaos, not my worth." This shift in perception keeps them from internalizing negativity. It allows them to maintain emotional balance even when confronted with hostility, rejection, or misunderstanding. Their calmness, therefore, is not avoidance, it's a deliberate form of mental discipline. Another reason nonchalant people appear emotionally steady is that they do not rely on others to regulate their internal states. Many people look outward for emotional soothing, expecting validation, reassurance, or attention to make them feel secure. Nonchalant individuals, however, have developed a self-sufficient relationship with their emotions. They can sit with discomfort without rushing to escape it. This independence gives them immense emotional resilience. They don't crumble when they're alone, nor do they need constant affirmation to feel valued. In relationships, this makes them grounded and steady, though at times, others may misinterpret this as emotional distance. Nonchalant people also understand that reacting emotionally gives power away. When someone provokes them, they recognize that anger or outrage only benefits the provocateur. Their composure becomes a silent form of control, one that disarms manipulation. This is why they often appear unbothered in situations that would deeply unsettle others. Their calmness is not ignorance, it's awareness. They see through emotional traps and choose not to engage. They understand that peace is preserved by choosing silence over unnecessary conflict, patience over aggression, and perspective over ego. In essence, emotional regulation in nonchalant individuals is both an art and a defense mechanism. It protects their energy, preserves their clarity, and allows them to remain centered in a world that thrives on reaction. Their calmness is not a mask, it is a reflection of internal mastery. They are not indifferent, they are simply in control of what truly matters, their inner world. Nonchalant people's indifference to external validation is a cornerstone of their psychological resilience. Unlike those who constantly seek approval, praise, or recognition, they maintain a steady sense of self-worth independent of how others perceive them. This does not mean they are arrogant or dismissive. Rather, they understand that validation from others is fleeting, subjective, and ultimately unreliable. By removing their emotional dependence on external opinions, they free themselves from the anxiety, disappointment, and stress that often accompany the pursuit of social approval. This independence allows them to make decisions based on their values and priorities rather than on the fluctuating judgments of those around them. Psychologically, this trait is linked to intrinsic motivation and a strong internal locus of control. Nonchalant individuals measure success and fulfillment not by social accolades, but by whether their actions align with their inner principles. They do not need to constantly demonstrate competence, charm, or likability because their sense of self is not contingent upon it. This independence gives them a quiet confidence, a calm assurance that they are enough as they are, without having to perform for validation. They are aware that people will always have opinions, and rather than reacting to or internalizing everyone, they maintain equanimity, recognizing that others' perceptions are reflections of those individuals' biases, needs, and insecurities, not an absolute truth about themselves. This indifference to validation also protects them from emotional manipulation. People who rely heavily on external approval are often vulnerable to guilt, flattery, or social pressure. Nonchalant individuals, by contrast, are difficult to influence because their self-esteem is grounded internally. They can listen, observe, and even empathize without being swayed or coerced. This makes them stable anchors in social environments. They do not crumble under criticism, nor do they inflate under praise. Their calmness becomes a form of quiet power, an unshakable inner core that others may envy or misunderstand as aloofness. Moreover, this mindset fosters authenticity. When the need for validation diminishes, there is no compulsion to conform, perform, or please others. Nonchalant people can speak their truth, follow their passions, and live according to their own rhythms without fear of judgment. They are less likely to be swayed by trends, peer pressure, or social comparison. In relationships and professional settings, this independence often inspires trust and admiration because their interactions are not driven by neediness or insecurity, but by genuine presence and integrity. In essence, indifference to external validation allows nonchalant individuals to navigate life with stability, clarity, and confidence. They understand that worth comes from within, and that peace of mind is more valuable than fleeting social approval. By detaching from the constant pull of others' opinions, they create a psychological space in which freedom, self-respect, and calm can flourish, qualities that define their nonchalant nature and set them apart in a world obsessed with recognition. Nonchalant individuals often possess a heightened level of emotional intelligence, which allows them to navigate complex social environments with ease. Emotional intelligence refers to the ability to recognize, understand, and manage one's own emotions, as well as to perceive and influence the emotions of others. In nonchalant people, this intelligence manifests as a refined awareness of social dynamics without the need to react impulsively or become entangled in emotional drama. They can read situations accurately, anticipate emotional undercurrents, and respond in ways that maintain their composure and protect their inner equilibrium. A key aspect of their emotional intelligence is empathy coupled with boundaries. Nonchalant people can understand how others feel, yet they do not absorb those emotions as their own. While many individuals react immediately to another person's anger, sadness, or frustration, nonchalant people observe and interpret these emotions without being controlled by them. They are able to maintain clarity in the face of others' emotional turbulence, offering support when necessary, but never compromising their own psychological stability. This ability creates a powerful sense of presence. Others may find them calming, steady, and trustworthy precisely because they are not easily swayed by the emotional fluctuations around them. Another element of emotional intelligence in nonchalant people is self-awareness. They are highly attuned to their internal states and understand their own triggers, desires, and limits. This self-knowledge allows them to choose responses intentionally rather than react automatically. When confronted with conflict, they evaluate the situation rationally and emotionally, and then respond in a way that aligns with their values and goals. This measured approach prevents unnecessary escalation and helps maintain both internal and external harmony. Nonchalant individuals also excel at regulating social energy. They recognize when engagement is productive and when it is draining or counterproductive. Instead of being drawn into gossip, drama, or manipulation, they conserve their emotional energy for interactions that matter. This selective engagement is a form of emotional intelligence. They understand that maintaining composure and prioritizing meaningful interactions is more beneficial than reacting to every stimulus or trying to please everyone. Furthermore, their emotional intelligence allows them to navigate criticism and praise with balance. While some people react defensively to criticism or become elated by compliments, nonchalant individuals maintain an even keel. They assess feedback objectively, taking what is useful and discarding what is irrelevant, without letting either affect their self-esteem. This stability makes them resilient in both personal and professional contexts, as they can face challenges without losing their inner calm or confidence. Ultimately, the emotional intelligence of nonchalant individuals is a key component of their psychological resilience. It allows them to perceive and respond to emotions, their own and others, with clarity, balance, and intentionality. This intelligence underpins their ability to remain composed in challenging situations, maintain healthy boundaries, and navigate social interactions with both empathy and detachment, which collectively define the essence of their nonchalant nature. Nonchalant people often display a remarkable detachment from ego, which significantly contributes to their composed and steady demeanor. Unlike individuals whose actions and emotions are heavily influenced by a desire to assert dominance, prove themselves, or maintain a carefully curated self-image, nonchalant people operate from a place of inner security. Their sense of self is not contingent upon external validation or comparison with others, which allows them to remain calm, composed, and unshaken in the face of criticism, failure, or social pressure. This detachment from ego does not indicate indifference or lack of ambition. Rather, it reflects a deep psychological understanding that the self is fluid and that attachment to rigid identity constructs often leads to unnecessary suffering. Psychologically, detachment from ego involves minimizing the constant internal dialogue of judgment and self-evaluation that dominates most people's mental lives. Nonchalant individuals are less likely to obsess over whether they are liked, admired, or respected. They do not feel compelled to defend their opinions or assert superiority in discussions. This reduction in ego-driven mental activity allows them to respond to situations with clarity and rationality rather than defensiveness or reactivity. Their calmness is rooted in an internal sense of stability that does not fluctuate based on external circumstances. Moreover, ego detachment allows nonchalant people to embrace uncertainty with grace. The ego often seeks to control outcomes and predict how events will unfold, creating anxiety when reality does not conform to expectations. By loosening the grip of ego, nonchalant individuals cultivate a psychological flexibility that allows them to adapt without distress. They are comfortable with not knowing, with being imperfect, and with navigating life without needing constant affirmation of their significance. This inner freedom fosters resilience, as they are less likely to be destabilized by external pressures or failures. Another important aspect of ego detachment is humility. Nonchalant individuals recognize that life is larger than any single person's desires or achievements. They approach interactions and challenges without the need to dominate or impose, allowing them to navigate relationships with authenticity and respect. Their presence often inspires confidence in others because they are not motivated by egoistic fear or competition, but by a grounded sense of awareness and purpose. In practical terms, detachment from ego also enhances decision-making. Nonchalant individuals can evaluate situations objectively, unclouded by the need to protect their self-image or appear a certain way. This impartiality allows them to take risks, make thoughtful choices, and remain unaffected by the opinions or judgments of others. They act from principles rather than pride, and this leads to a natural form of influence and respect. Ultimately, the detachment from ego in nonchalant individuals is not an absence of self, but a refined awareness of it. By reducing the dominance of ego, they maintain psychological balance, emotional resilience, and clarity of thought. Their calm exterior reflects an internal mastery over the compulsions of identity, making them steady, reliable, and profoundly self-possessed qualities that define their nonchalant nature. Nonchalant people have an exceptional ability to focus on what they can control, which is a major factor in their composure and psychological resilience. While many individuals expend enormous energy worrying about circumstances beyond their influence, nonchalant people deliberately direct their attention and effort toward areas where they can make a tangible impact. This focus creates a sense of mastery and stability, reducing anxiety and emotional turbulence. They understand that fretting over uncontrollable outcomes, other people's opinions, or unforeseen events is unproductive, and instead they prioritize thoughtful action over reactive worry. Psychologically, this trait is tied to an internal locus of control, the belief that one's actions, rather than external forces, largely determine outcomes. Nonchalant individuals internalize this principle deeply, which allows them to navigate life with efficiency and equanimity. They identify the limits of their influence and consciously release energy spent on factors outside those limits. For example, when confronted with workplace politics, they focus on performing their duties with competence and integrity rather than attempting to manipulate colleagues or outcomes. When facing personal conflicts, they focus on managing their reactions and communication instead of trying to control others' feelings or behaviors. This focus fosters clarity, reduces stress, and ensures that their energy is used constructively rather than wasted on anxiety-inducing scenarios. Additionally, nonchalant individuals understand the value of perspective. They recognize that much of what people stress about is temporary, insignificant in the broader context of life. By concentrating on controllable aspects, they prevent minor setbacks from escalating into overwhelming crises. This perspective allows them to maintain emotional stability even when the world around them appears chaotic. Their calmness is reinforced by the knowledge that while they cannot control everything, they can control their approach, mindset, and effort, and these are what ultimately determine the quality of their experience. This focus on controllable factors also enhances decision-making. Nonchalant individuals make choices grounded in practicality and reason rather than fear or social pressure. Because they are not distracted by elements beyond their influence, they can allocate their mental and emotional resources to thoughtful planning, problem-solving, and action. This selective attention minimizes regret, as they understand that outcomes are never fully in their hands. Instead, they accept uncertainty with composure, confident that they have done what they could within their sphere of control. In relationships, this approach manifests as a steady and grounded presence. They do not attempt to change others or micromanage interactions. Instead, they contribute positively where they can, offer support without overextending themselves, and accept what is beyond their influence. This detachment from uncontrollable elements prevents frustration, resentment, and burnout. Ultimately, the ability to focus on what they can control allows nonchalant individuals to maintain psychological balance, conserve energy, and approach life with calm confidence. By distinguishing between what is theirs to influence and what is not, they create an inner sanctuary of stability, a foundation for their serene and measured approach to life. Their nonchalance is not laziness or indifference. It is deliberate, conscious prioritization that defines their psychological strength. Nonchalant people place a high value on inner peace over external drama, and this principle is central to their psychological stability. While many individuals allow themselves to be swept up in conflict, gossip, or social turbulence, nonchalant people intentionally prioritize calm and balance. They understand that much of life's chaos is unnecessary and often self-generated, arising from overreaction, ego-driven desires, or the need for validation. By choosing to avoid entanglement in such drama, they preserve their mental and emotional energy, enabling them to maintain clarity and equanimity even in challenging situations. Psychologically, this prioritization reflects a mature understanding of cause and effect in social and emotional contexts. Nonchalant individuals recognize that reacting impulsively to every insult, provocation, or minor crisis does not improve outcomes. Instead, it amplifies tension and feeds stress. By remaining composed, they break the cycle of escalation and demonstrate a self-regulated approach to interpersonal dynamics. Their calm demeanor acts as a buffer, both protecting them from unnecessary emotional disturbance and influencing the emotional tone of those around them. People often find themselves mirroring this calm, which reduces overall stress and promotes more constructive interactions. Inner peace is cultivated through a combination of self-awareness, mindfulness, and deliberate disengagement from unnecessary conflict. Nonchalant individuals observe their thoughts and emotions without being dominated by them. They identify when situations or interactions are worth their attention and when it is healthier to let them pass. This selective engagement prevents emotional exhaustion and fosters resilience. Unlike avoidance born of fear, their detachment is intentional. It is a conscious decision to safeguard their mental and emotional well-being. This prioritization also influences their relationships and social behavior. Nonchalant people do not participate in gossip, manipulative games, or emotional blackmail. They remain polite, present, and cooperative, but they do not allow themselves to be drawn into unnecessary tension or drama. This stance often earns them respect and trust, as others perceive them as reliable, grounded, and unshakable. Their ability to remain centered allows them to navigate conflicts constructively, offering solutions rather than reactions and fostering environments of calm rather than chaos. Furthermore, valuing inner peace over drama extends to their personal ambitions and life goals. They avoid overextending themselves in pursuit of superficial achievements, popularity, or validation. Instead, they focus on what aligns with their values and contributes to long-term stability and satisfaction. This approach prevents the mental clutter and stress that often accompany obsessive ambition or social competition. Ultimately, nonchalant people's commitment to inner peace is a deliberate psychological strategy. It allows them to conserve energy, maintain clarity, and approach life with measured composure. By valuing tranquility over conflict, they achieve a form of emotional resilience that many admire but few attain. Their nonchalance is not passivity. It is the conscious cultivation of calm in a world that constantly demands reactivity, ensuring that they remain grounded, centered, and unperturbed by life's inevitable storms. Nonchalant people possess a quiet, understated confidence that permeates every aspect of their behavior. This confidence is not loud, performative, or dependent on external validation. Rather, it is internal, stable, and self-sustaining. Unlike individuals who feel compelled to assert themselves, seek approval, or dominate social situations to prove their worth, nonchalant people operate from a foundation of inner assurance. They are comfortable in their own skin and trust their judgment, allowing them to navigate life with composure and clarity. This quiet confidence contributes to their calm, unshakable demeanor and often makes them magnetic to others, even if they themselves do not seek attention. Psychologically, this confidence is rooted in self-awareness and self-acceptance. Nonchalant individuals understand their strengths and weaknesses and have reconciled with their limitations. They do not feel the need to exaggerate their accomplishments or conceal their imperfections because they recognize that authenticity is more valuable than image. This acceptance reduces internal conflict and anxiety, as their self-worth is independent of external circumstances. They do not hinge their sense of identity on approval, comparison, or competition, which allows them to act from a place of integrity rather than fear. This quiet confidence also manifests in decision-making. Nonchalant individuals are able to make choices based on principle, logic, and long-term outcomes, rather than reacting impulsively to social pressures or emotional triggers. They trust their intuition and reasoning, and they are comfortable with uncertainty because their self-assurance is not contingent upon perfect control or predictable outcomes. This decisiveness, combined with emotional composure, enables them to handle challenges effectively and maintain stability even in turbulent environments. Another key element of this confidence is their ability to remain unaffected by criticism or praise. Nonchalant people recognize that others' opinions are shaped by individual biases and are not absolute indicators of value. They can accept constructive feedback without internalizing it negatively, and they can dismiss unwarranted criticism without defensiveness. Similarly, they do not inflate their ego in response to praise. They acknowledge it, but do not let it dictate their behavior or self-perception. This balance contributes to emotional resilience and prevents the volatility often seen in individuals who tie their confidence to external validation. Their quiet confidence also enhances social interactions. People tend to perceive nonchalant individuals as trustworthy, reliable, and composed. They do not dominate conversations or seek approval, which makes others feel comfortable and respected in their presence. This form of confidence fosters deeper connections because it is grounded in authenticity and calm assurance rather than performance or pretense. Ultimately, the quiet confidence of nonchalant people is a product of inner mastery, self-awareness, and emotional independence. It allows them to navigate life without unnecessary stress, remain centered amid chaos, and maintain authenticity in all situations. This self-assured composure, combined with their other traits, defines the essence of their nonchalant psychology, a state of calm, grounded strength that radiates quietly but powerfully to the world around them.